They say the first cut is the deepest. I disagree. The deepest cut isn't the one that bleeds. It's the one that smiles at you from across the dinner table every night, whispers, "I love you," while hiding a knife behind her back. I wasn't a saint, but I wasn't stupid either. Or at least I thought I wasn't. My name's Graham Delaney. 43, beard that's got more gray than I care to admit, 2 kids in college, and a wife, Amanda, who, for 20 years, could recite my coffee order better than she could remember our anniversary. And that's how it starts. Not with fireworks or a slap across the face. No, it starts quiet. Like the way she stopped laughing at my jokes. The way she started locking her phone like it contained nuclear codes. Or the way she'd suddenly become a fan of yoga when she used to call it sweaty cult stretching. I should have known something was off when she bought a second set of gym clothes. Amanda didn't own duplicates of anything, except lies, apparently. It was a Thursday. Rain, windshield wipers, talk radio playing some piece on how to build trust in a relationship. Oh, the irony. I remember it because I pulled into the driveway and saw her car parked sideways like she'd pulled in mid-panic. Inside, the house smelled like vanilla candles and chicken marsala. The kind of smell you light to convince yourself things are fine. "Hey," I said, slipping off my shoes. She smiled too fast. "Hey, babe." Babe. She hadn't called me that in months. Chicken's in the oven. Thought we could eat early tonight. No, how was your day? No eye contact longer than 2 seconds. Amanda's poker face was about as convincing as a 5-year-old with chocolate on their face saying they didn't eat the cake. I sat at the table. She poured me wine. White. I drink red. But I sipped anyway. "So," she said, sitting down. "You ever think about changing things up?" I blinked. "Like redecorating the house, or?" "No, like us. Our dynamic." Now, a normal man might ask what that means. I already knew. I saw it in her eyes. Eyes that used to look at me like I was home. Now they looked like they were checking for the exit. That was the night she planted the seed. Said she felt stuck, uninspired. Like we were more roommates than lovers. She used all the buzzwords you hear in self-help podcasts right before someone announces they're leaving. But she didn't say she was leaving. Not yet. That was just the appetizer. The main course? That came later. And dessert. Oh, you'll want to stick around for dessert. Amanda had tells, little habits that came out when she lied. She'd scratch her right eyebrow, talk faster, start using phrases like, "I just feel like," followed by anything but actual feelings. That Friday morning, she told me she was heading to a networking brunch with some ladies from the spin class. I knew it was a lie because Amanda didn't do spin. She did Pilates, yoga, and condescension, but never spin. Still, I played along. I kissed her goodbye. She flinched. Strike 2. Once the door closed, I didn't go to work. I followed her. Yeah, I know. Not my proudest moment. But trust is like a window. Once it cracks, you start noticing every smudge. I drove the Civic, not the truck. Less obvious. She didn't go to a brunch. She went to a motel. And not one of those respectable motels either. I'm talking one of those roadside joints with a neon sign that flickers like it's got regrets. Room 117. I watched from the gas station across the street with coffee that tasted like asphalt and enough anxiety to power a small city. 20 minutes later, he showed up. Gray Range Rover. Aviators. The kind of guy who looked like he got lost on his way to a cologne commercial. He didn't knock. He walked in like it was his second home. I didn't follow. Not yet. I wasn't ready to see it with my own eyes. I just sat there, heart pounding, hands shaking, staring at that damn door like it owed me an explanation. And after about an hour, because apparently infidelity has a schedule, they both came out. She was laughing. He kissed her cheek. And then they went their separate ways. Amanda got back in her car and drove home like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just set fire to 20 years of history. I waited until she was gone before I walked over to room 117. The door had closed, but the window curtain was open just enough for me to see the edge of the bed. Messy sheets. 2 wine glasses. His cologne still clinging to the air like a bad memory. That night, I didn't say anything. Just kissed her on the forehead, like always. She smiled, said, "You're being so sweet lately." I smiled back. And in my head, I whispered, "I'm just getting started." There's something about betrayal that makes the brain go from heartbroken to hyperfunctional. I started seeing the world in equations, like I was solving a puzzle only she didn't know existed. Amanda went to bed early that night. Too tired. Of course. Affairs must be exhausting. I poured myself a glass of bourbon and sat in the garage, the only place in the house that still felt like mine. Among the tools and oil-stained rags, I made my plan. First, I needed proof. Not for court. No, this wasn't about lawyers. This was about clarity. About seeing her lies written out in a font she couldn't deny. So I called my buddy Mitch. Mitch is the kind of guy you don't introduce to your boss, but you keep his number handy just in case you ever need a GPS tracker, a hidden camera, or a guy who can make an iPhone sing without touching the screen. Graham, Mitch said, chewing something. Always chewing. Tell me you finally caught her. Not yet, I said, but I'm about to. We met the next day at his shop. He handed me a box the size of a matchbook. Slapped this under her car. Tracks everything. GPS, audio, all of it. And the phone. He grinned. You got access to it? She still uses my old iTunes account. You're golden. I went home and pretended to be normal. Fixed a leaky faucet. Made her tea. Even laughed at one of her stories, something about Carol from spin class, which, again, doesn't exist. That night, while she showered, I synced her phone to my laptop. And there it was. Text messages. Dozens. No names, just J. But the tone was unmistakable. Can't wait to taste you again. Wish I could wake up next to you every day. He's clueless, babe. We're in the clear. Every message was another nail in the coffin she didn't know she was lying in. But I didn't react. I copied them all. Dated, timestamped, printed. Then I smiled. See, Amanda thought she was writing a love story. What she didn't know is that she was just the opening chapter of something else entirely. The dining table had seen a lot in its years: birthday cakes, spilled wine, awkward holiday small talk. But that Tuesday night, it became a stage. And every actor had their role. Amanda made spaghetti. Her, I'm too tired to cook but still pretending I care, meal. She hummed as she stirred the sauce, the same way she used to hum when we were newlyweds and happy. Now it sounded like static. I set the table, laid out the wine glasses, uncorked a bottle of red she used to love before she started ordering craft cocktails with names like Blood Moon Lover on someone else's dime. Smells great, I said, placing a fork beside her plate. Thanks, babe. She smiled without looking up. Babe. That word again. She used it like duct tape, covering the cracks with sticky, false affection. We sat. I twirled the pasta on my fork, watching her as she chewed like nothing in the world was wrong. My stomach churned, not from the food, but from what I knew. The tracker had been working. Mitch had pulled the data that afternoon. She wasn't going to yoga on Mondays. She was going to room 117. Twice. In 1 week. So, I said, sipping wine. How's spin class? She nearly choked. Not a full cough, just a subtle twitch in her throat. Impressive reflexes, really. She covered it with a laugh. Oh, still kicking my butt. Kicking your butt, I echoed. Must be intense. Where's the studio again? Downtown, she replied too quickly. Near that smoothie place. What's it called? Very Fit. I nodded, filing away the lie like a librarian handling overdue fiction. Maybe I'll drop by sometime. Surprise you after a class. Oh, no, she said with that performative chuckle. You'd be bored out of your mind. I set my fork down. You think I'd be bored watching my wife do something she loves? Her smile faltered for a half-second. A crack in the mask. But then it was back. I just meant, you'd rather be in the garage or watching your documentaries. That was her go-to. Painting me as the stable but dull husband. Like I was some comforting background character in her story of self-discovery. I leaned back. Amanda, can I ask you something? Sure, she said, too casually. What's the password to your phone? That did it. The smile died. She stared at me like I'd just suggested we sacrifice the dog. Why would you need that? No reason. Just curious if I could guess it. She narrowed her eyes. It's private. I nodded slowly. Of course. I mean, we're married, but yeah, privacy. Important. The silence that followed was the kind that hums. That charges the air like static before a lightning strike. She forced another bite of spaghetti, chewed longer than necessary, then spoke carefully. Are you okay? Peachy. Because you're acting different lately. I smiled. You think so? She nodded. Like you're watching me. I am watching you, Amanda. That made her pause. Fork midair. She tilted her head. What's that supposed to mean? I stood up, walked to the counter, opened a drawer, took out a small stack of papers, neatly stapled. I made you something. She blinked. What is it? Proof. I slid the stack across the table. She looked down. The first page was a printout of one of her texts. I'm still sore from yesterday, face blowing a kiss. Below it, a date, a time, a location. She didn't flip the page. She didn't need to. Her face lost its color, the way water dilutes red wine. You went through my phone? I synced it. Technically, Apple went through it. Graham. No. You don't get to pivot. You don't get to act like I'm the one breaking vows because I uncovered yours. She clenched the papers in her fist. You've been spying on me? I've been confirming what I already knew. You were just too sloppy to hide it properly. The silence returned. Not the charged kind this time. This was emptier, heavier, like the final echo in an abandoned cathedral. She looked up, her voice a whisper. What do you want me to say? Nothing, I replied. Not tonight. Not now. Then why this dinner? Why all of this? She snapped, waving her hand at the table, the candles, the wine. Because, I said softly, I wanted to remember what it felt like. One last time. She stared at me like she didn't understand. Or maybe she did, and just didn't like it. What are you going to do? I picked up my wine glass and swirled it. That depends on how honest you're ready to be. You mean confess? I mean explain. Amanda shook her head. There's no explanation you'd accept. That's the first honest thing you've said all night. She looked like she wanted to cry, or scream, or throw the plate. But she didn't. She just stood up and walked toward the stairs, mumbling. I'm going to bed. Sleep tight, I said without looking at her. You'll want to be rested. Why? Because tomorrow, I said, still swirling the wine, is the beginning of the end. Amanda didn't come down for breakfast. Not that I expected her to. She wasn't much for confrontation before coffee. And now, after last night's little dinner theater, she'd probably crawl out the window before she faced another sit-down conversation with the man she used to promise forever. I sat at the kitchen island with a slice of burnt toast and a black coffee I didn't remember making. My eyes flicked between my phone, the printed text messages still stacked beside me, and the silence vibrating through the house like a pressure cooker with no whistle. At exactly 9:07 a.m., she appeared in the doorway. Makeup free, hair pinned up like she was trying to pretend this was just another Saturday morning. She wasn't wearing her usual robe, though. No, this time she'd gone with jeans and a hoodie. Armor, maybe. Casual camouflage. She didn't say good morning. Didn't ask about breakfast. She just sat down across from me, placed her hands on the counter, and said, You were right. I didn't reply. I don't know what you want from me, Graham, she continued, her voice cracking slightly. I screwed up. Yes, I know. I did it. More than once. It's not something I'm proud of. I leaned back. That last part sounds like it was ripped from a politician's apology. I'm being serious. So am I. Amanda inhaled, long and sharp, like someone preparing to jump into freezing water. It started last year. I met him at a real estate seminar downtown. He was charming, easy to talk to. You were working weekends. I felt invisible. And somehow that justified sneaking off to motels with a guy who probably practices smiling in the mirror. Don't do that, she said louder now. Don't make this about him. Why not? I asked. You made our marriage about him. Her lip trembled. I saw it. A flicker of remorse. Or maybe regret she got caught. I never meant to hurt you, she whispered. You didn't mean to get caught. She winced. Silence again. The house seemed to hold its breath. I thought we were okay, I said. I thought maybe we were just coasting through a rough patch. I thought we'd fight for this. Instead, I find out you've been treating our vows like a suggestion box. I didn't plan it. People don't trip and fall into bed with someone. Amanda. She pushed back from the counter. I don't know what else you want me to say. And there it was, the crack in her composure. The righteous frustration. The moment cheaters always get to. Why aren't you making this easier for me? You're not going to fight for us? She added. I nearly laughed. Amanda, you cheated. Multiple times. Lied to my face. Let me make you dinner while you texted him under the table. And now you want me to fight for us? That ship hit an iceberg and sank while you were too busy rearranging deck chairs with your boyfriend. I made a mistake, she said softly. No, a mistake is buying the wrong kind of milk. What you did was a series of choices. She stood there, teetering between apology and defensiveness. And then she asked the question I'd been expecting since I first found that text message. So what now? I sipped my coffee. Let the pause drag just a bit too long. Then, you move out. She blinked. You're kicking me out? I'm not kicking. I'm asking. But I can make it legal if I have to. Her face paled. Where would I even go? I shrugged. Maybe you can ask your cologne model for a place to crash. I hear room 117 is already paid for. You don't have to be cruel. I'm not being cruel. I'm being fair. You gambled. You lost. Amanda sat down again, quieter this time. She stared at the table like it was a chessboard and she just realized she was in checkmate. I want to see the kids, she murmured. You will. But not from here. Graham, please. You walked out of this marriage months ago. This is me just catching up. A tear finally rolled down her cheek. Not the dramatic, chest-heaving kind. Just one. But I'd seen that move before. She used to do it when she wanted to end an argument without conceding. This time it landed like a pebble in a canyon. No ripple. No echo. I'll give you until the end of the week, I said, standing. Pack what you need. Leave the rest. And after that, we'll talk. Through attorneys. You're really doing this? Her voice was small. Shaken. You already did it, I said. And then I walked out. Not out of anger. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. I wasn't going to shout. I wasn't going to beg. She had made her choice. Now it was time for me to make mine. Thursday morning arrived like a cold breath down the neck. The kind of day where the sun shows up just to fake warmth but offers none. Amanda was packing. Not with frantic energy, not with regret. Just methodically. Like she was prepping for a vacation she didn't want to take but couldn't avoid. I watched from the hallway, unseen. She folded clothes with care. Took only what she needed. Left the photos. Left the wedding album. Left the ring. She didn't cry. And honestly, that stung more than if she had. I stepped into the doorway. She jumped slightly, then sighed. Didn't hear you. I make less noise these days, I said. Amanda gave a small, tight nod, then turned back to her suitcase. I'll be out before 5. I'm not rushing you. I know. I don't want to drag this out. A beat passed between us, long, heavy. The weight of shared history compressing the air. You talked to him? I asked. She paused, mid-fold. Yeah. He offered to help? Another pause. No. Of course not. Men like him love the game, not the cleanup. She zipped the bag and stood upright. I'll find a place. Don't worry. I raised an eyebrow. Wasn't. She winced. Just slightly. A muscle twitch, a flicker of hurt pride. Funny how the people who leave you are always offended when you stop clinging to them. As she lugged the suitcase toward the stairs, I asked, Where are you going? Short term? Hotel. Long term? Maybe my sister's. You tell her what happened? Amanda hesitated. Not in detail. Smart. If she knew the detail, she might throw your suitcase down the stairs. She almost smiled at that. Reflex, not joy. Then she moved on. I followed her down, grabbed the second bag without a word, and helped her load the trunk. Not because I was feeling charitable, but because I wanted to look at the house once she was gone, and no, I didn't slam any doors. I didn't scream. I held the line. She stood at the driver's side, keys trembling in her hand. I don't hate you, she said. Likewise, I replied. I lost something, Graham. I got lost. And you found someone to lead you further off the map. Amanda blinked. Are you always going to talk in riddles? Only when the truth's too sharp to hand over unwrapped. She opened the door. Paused. What about the kids? We'll talk, I said. Like adults. She got in. I stepped back. No dramatic goodbyes. No last glances. Just the sound of tires crunching down the driveway and out onto the main road. The silence afterward wasn't peaceful. It was surgical. Clean cut. No more lies in the house. No more sideways glances at a buzzing phone. No more dinners where love was staged like a hostage situation. I stood in the middle of the living room and let the stillness pour over me like cold rain. No TV. No music. Just the hum of the fridge and the echo of a vow broken so cleanly it could have been sliced by laser. That night, I opened the safe in the closet. Inside were a few financial documents, the deed to the house, and one velvet box I hadn't touched since my father passed it to me the night before my wedding. I opened it. The ring was still there. The one my grandfather gave to my grandmother. A symbol of loyalty that had survived a war and 3 children. I stared at it like it was an artifact from a civilization I no longer belonged to. With a sigh, I placed the ring back, shut the safe, and walked outside. The sky was bruising into dusk. That deep purple blue that promises neither peace nor storm. Just potential. Across the street, the neighbor's dog barked twice. Probably confused why Amanda hadn't walked past yet. Everything was off kilter. Even the routines noticed. I sat on the porch, arms resting on my knees, and just breathed. It was over. But I wasn't broken. Not yet. Not by a long shot. The phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. I answered. Yeah, Mr. Delaney? It was a woman's voice. Crisp. Professional. This is Morgan Blake. I'm a colleague of Mitch's. He told me you might need a follow-up service. Mitch sent you. He's out of town. But he briefed me. I didn't respond immediately. I understand if you're hesitant, she said. But Mitch told me you wanted the next step handled quietly. There it was. The thing Amanda had never considered. My patience wasn't passivity. It was strategy. She had made her move. Now I was making mine. How fast can you work? I asked. Morgan's voice didn't miss a beat. Faster than your lawyer. I smiled. Just slightly. Send me your rate, I said. Let's get started. The house felt colder without her in it. Not physically, emotionally. Like even the thermostat had stopped trusting me to feel anything above lukewarm. I didn't mind. Amanda thought leaving would hollow me out. She probably pictured me curled up on the couch, watching old wedding videos and drinking straight from a whiskey bottle like I was auditioning for a country music video. But what she didn't understand, what they never understand, is that the quiet doesn't destroy men like me. It sharpens us. Morgan's email came through by midnight. Subject line, Operation Ghost Protocol. Subtlety wasn't her strong suit, but I appreciated the flair. Her message was concise. Attached, breakdown of surveillance recovery, target background check, 3 behavioral profiles, and financial linkage mapping. Additional recommendations pending your approval. Happy to proceed once confirmed. MB. I clicked open the file, and there he was. James Bennett, or Jay, as Amanda had so creatively labeled him in her phone. 39. Divorced. Former realtor, now a life coach, which is what guys call themselves when they have good teeth and no skill set. His Instagram was a digital shrine to shirtless hikes, motivational quotes, and poorly written blog posts about embracing your power. He lived in a modern bachelor pad on the edge of town, rented, of course. Drove a leased BMW. Had 3 maxed-out credit cards and a track record of dating married women that went back 5 years. Charming. But what caught my eye was the email thread Morgan uncovered between him and a buddy. The subject line, Amanda D. His buddy had replied, another married one? Man, you're going to end up on Dateline. James had responded, this one's easy. Rich husband, no spine. She practically begged me to take the wheel. I sat in the dark, reading that sentence 10 times over. No spine. That line had a taste. Bitter. Familiar. Like a punchline delivered too early. I didn't print it. Didn't screenshot it. I memorized it. Morgan's final recommendation was simple. Control the perception. Control the fallout. She laid out 3 paths: legal, social, psychological. One was scorched earth. The second, surgical. The third, subtle. Guess which one I picked? The next morning, I was back to making coffee like nothing had happened. Still black, still bitter, just like me. I wore my usual flannel shirt and jeans and headed to the office like it was a normal Thursday. Only it wasn't. Because the night before, I'd sent 3 emails. Not to Amanda. Not to James. To Amanda's boss, with an anonymous tip that one of his senior agents had been misusing company resources for personal rendezvous. James' landlord, with a polite inquiry about a potential tenant involved in legal trouble. The parents' group email chain for our son's school, forwarding a cropped Instagram photo of Amanda and James in room 117's hot tub, her legs across his lap, champagne in hand, timestamped the same night she missed parent-teacher night. No names. Just a caption. Anyone recognize this couple? They were in the room next to ours last week. Loud but fun. Passive chaos. The kind that doesn't break the rules, just bends them until people start whispering. By Friday, Amanda called. Blocked number. Of course. I answered. Graham, you're sabotaging my life, she said. No hello. No pleasantries. Straight to DEFCON 1. I kept my tone casual. I'm sorry. Who is this? Don't play games, she snapped. Someone emailed my boss, Graham. And someone else leaked a picture that got our kid's school calling me in for a meeting. Yikes, I said. You think it's that life coach you've been seeing? Sounds unstable. You think this is funny? She barked. Not really. Just ironic. You said you wouldn't go nuclear. I haven't, I said calmly. This is still the warning shot. There was silence on the line. The kind that means someone's calculating how bad this could really get. You're ruining me, she whispered. No, Amanda. You did that. I'm just making sure the crowd sees the wreckage you left behind. She hung up. I sat back in my chair, stared at the ceiling, and let out a long breath. Not of relief, not satisfaction, just readiness. That night, I drove to the overlook where Amanda and I used to picnic before we had kids, before mortgages, before our lives became spreadsheets with feelings. I parked, stepped out into the cool air, and leaned on the hood. Behind me, headlights flashed. A Range Rover pulled up. James got out, wearing a puffy vest and too much cologne. "Graham," he said, like we were old college buddies. "You got guts," I said. Showing up. I wanted to talk man to man. That a thing you do with the husbands you sleep behind? He had the nerve to smile. "Amanda said you were the stoic type. I respect that." I turned toward him, slow and steady. "Do you respect married women, too? Or is that just your niche?" "Look, I didn't come to fight. I came to say it's over. Between me and Amanda. She's toxic, man. Like, next level. I'm done." "Oh," I said, nodding. "So you got what you wanted, and now you're walking away. That about right?" He didn't respond. I stepped forward, just enough to close the distance. "Let me make something real clear, James. You're done with her? Great. Stay done. You see her, you walk the other way. You hear her name, you forget how to spell it. Yeah, okay. Message received." "One more thing," I said. "What?" I leaned in. "You were wrong." "About what?" I smiled. "Just barely. I do have a spine. You just never stuck around long enough to feel it snap." 2 weeks passed. Amanda moved in with her sister, at least on paper. But I knew better. My sources, courtesy of Morgan, showed she'd spent more nights at a local hotel than any relative's guest room. Her sister never liked her much anyway. Word had traveled. Amanda's job at the real estate firm? Suspended. Pending review. Not because she cheated, mind you. Adultery isn't a fireable offense. But misusing company vehicles, logging personal hours on the job, and damaging the brand? That's a different story. Her phone calls stopped. No more apologies, no more accusations. Silence again, but this time from her side. The kids knew something was up. I didn't go into detail. Just said, "Your mom and I are figuring things out." Our daughter looked me dead in the eye and said, "She cheated, didn't she?" I didn't answer. She nodded anyway. "You deserve better." And just like that, a 16-year-old girl gave me the one thing Amanda never could. Truth. The divorce paperwork was clean. Straightforward. I didn't drag her through court. I didn't bleed her dry. I didn't have to. I already had everything I needed. The house, the kids' trust, and a reputation intact. Hers? Not so much. Turns out, when the truth comes out gently, it spreads wider. The story didn't go viral, but it went local. Her friends distanced themselves. Her yoga group stopped inviting her. Her favorite cafe gave her a cold latte and a colder stare. You can light your life on fire, sure. But don't be surprised when no one shows up to help put it out. I mailed the signed documents on a Thursday. Quietly. No grand gesture. Just one more envelope in a mailbox full of bills and regret. That night, I stood in the kitchen, alone, yes, but not lonely, and made myself a steak dinner. Medium rare. Garlic butter. Real wine this time. I raised my glass to the silence. To truth, I said aloud. And to walking away when you still remember how to stand. Now, if you came here looking for blood, here's where you'll be disappointed. I didn't slash her tires. Didn't key James's precious BMW. Didn't show up at his seminars and expose him as a fraud, though Morgan offered, enthusiastically. I didn't need revenge. I was the revenge. See, the greatest payback isn't destruction, it's resurrection. It's rebuilding your life brick by brick while they try to glue their mistakes into something resembling normal. And watching them realize they traded loyalty for lip service. Months passed. My house became a home again. Not a haunted museum of what was. I refinished the deck. Got a dog. I even started dating. Nothing serious, but enough to remind myself that not every smile hides a blade. Amanda called me once. Just once. Her voice cracked. I made a mistake. I said, "Yeah, you mistook me for a man who'd still be waiting." Click. No yelling. No parting insults. Just finality. And that, my friend, is how you end it, with spine intact, hands clean, and your soul lighter than it's been in years.